Today guys, we are back again with another custom build in GTA 5 Online. That's where I take a beautiful car, customize it so then you guys can mimic the exact same customizations in GTA 5 Online. Today we are going to be customizing the Coquette D10, an absolutely stunning C8 Corvette. Rockstar did a great job at creating this car in GTA 5. We're going to bring it on over to a custom shop, we're going to upgrade it, and we're going to make it look beautiful. So with that said, I hope you guys go on to enjoy the video. Be sure to smash a thumbs up on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and without further ado, let's get into it. The very first thing we're going to be customizing on this car is going to be the wheels. Now, I think we're going to go with some nice track rims, something like the modern mesh rims, the forged star rims, maybe the snowflakes, because honestly, they look pretty decent as well. It's just the rim looks a little bit too small for my liking. The Giga Mesh are nice, but I'm not feeling it for this build. And of course, the Mesh Meister rims are pretty damn nice as well. But I honestly think for this car specifically, the modern mesh and the forged star rims look really nice. So today we're going to be going with the forged stars. Next up, we have the spoiler. Now we have a bunch of awesome spoiler options for this vehicle. I'm not a huge fan of the big wings though, so we're most likely not going to be going with those. In my personal opinion, I'm a huge fan of just the basic wings, the stock spoiler and the carbon wing. Now honestly, I think we're just going to leave the spoiler alone because I kind of like the look of it, and it'll go with the livery if we choose to put one on. Next up, we have the front bumper. Once again, just like the Gauntlet Hellfire, we're pretty much just messing around with the splitter and some canards. We're really not actually customizing the bumper all that much, and some of these bumper options are kind of crazy. So honestly, there's a very basic one that I like, the racing splitter and the vented splitter. I think they both look amazing, and I would highly recommend going with one of those. The full splitter kit is just way too much, like it just looks like a lot. Way too much for this car. I honestly like the racing splitter. The splitter isn't huge compared to the vented one, which sticks out a little bit too much. I think the racing splitter is the perfect option. Next up, we have the rear bumper, which is pretty much just messing around with the diffusers and the canards on the back. Now there's only two that I like, the tuner diffuser and the racing diffuser, because I do not like the canards. I'm just not a huge fan of them, never have been, and never will be. Honestly, I like the look of the tuner diffuser, and I think that's what we're going to go with. Next up, we have the side skirts. Now we could keep it stock, could go with some winged skirts, then the secondary color ones, or the carbon ones. They honestly all look pretty great, but I think I'm going to be going with the carbon ones because it does match the trim on the rest of the car, and I kind of like the look of this. The only other one I would go with would be the winged ones. The stock ones look okay, but you know, adding that little wing to it makes it a little bit more custom. So let's stick with the carbon winged skirts. Next up, we have the exhaust. Now there's a couple of different options that we have here. I'm honestly not a huge fan of many of them. The only one I really like is the carbon performance diffuser. I think this thing looks absolutely stunning, and I'm also kind of a fan of how you could see a little outline on it as well. I believe that is the secondary color outline on it, so when we actually change the color of the car in a little bit, you're going to be able to see that outline shine on the back of this thing. So I think we're going to go with the carbon performance diffuser. Next up, we could throw a SUNSTRIP on. Honestly, you could do this if you want to, and if you don't want to, then don't do it. I just wouldn't really throw the carbon one on, but I think we're going to go with the primary one for this build. Next up, we have the grille. Now honestly, I kind of like the look of all of them, except for the one with the secondary panel. I just don't really like the look of that. The primary one looks awesome, and the carbon housing looks amazing as well. It's honestly up to you guys which one you want to go with, but personally, I kind of like the look of the carbon primary panel, so I think we're going to go with that. Next up is going to be some vents on the hood. Now obviously the hood's in the back, so let's take a look at what we can throw on here. They're honestly okay, nothing too crazy, which is what I like. I definitely wouldn't go with an off-putting color or carbon, so I think we would keep it primary. So I would recommend going with the tuner vent or the dual vents, whichever one you like more. Now I do like the look of something subtle. The dual vents are a little bit smaller, so I think that's what we're going to go with. Next up is going to be the roof. You only got a couple options here. You can keep it stock, remove it, make it the secondary color, or change it to carbon. I would only go with a stock one, or I would just remove it completely. I think those two are the best options to go from, and I wouldn't go with anything else unless I was blacking the entire car out, then I would throw a carbon roof on there. But I think for this build, honestly, it doesn't really matter which one you go with. Maybe we'll mess around with that at the end, but for right now, we're going to keep the roof on. Next up is going to be the suspension. This is stock, and this is the competition suspension. That's a little bit too much. The perfect suspension options, in my opinion, for sports cars and hypercars and all that kind of crap, in terms of looks, would be the lowered suspension and the street suspension, just because you could still see the entirety of the wheels, which I love, unlike the competition suspension where it's starting to cut it off, and I really don't like that. It just looks like a little bit too much. So we're either going to go with lowered or street suspension for this build. And obviously when it comes to the windows, just black them out. It's that easy. Next, let's mess around with the headlight color. I honestly think that purple headlights look really nice on this car, so I think that's what we're going to go with.
By the way, be sure to check out Digizani. They'll hook you up with tons of discounted games and in-game currency for dozens of your favorite games, like GTA 5, Fortnite, and many more. Don't forget to use code FROLICS at checkout for a 10% discount.
Next up, let's talk liveries. There's two liveries that I'm a huge fan of with this car. The first one is going to be the twin black racing stripes. I think they look phenomenal. And I also love the twin white racing stripes. I think they look phenomenal as well, and I would recommend going with either the black or white racing stripes for this car. Some of the other liveries are nice, but in my opinion, I think these two are hands down the nicest. And if you decide to go with the white racing stripes, I would recommend going with a nice ultra blue paint job. I think it looks phenomenal. I love the look of this, and the pearlescent, honestly, you can throw whatever you want on, but if you want the color to pop, I would go with a nice pure black pearlescent. Another color that works amazing is going to be a pure black paint job with no pearlescent along with the twin white racing stripes. It just looks beautiful. You got to admit that. Now that I'm actually looking at this build, I kind of want to change the spoiler up a little bit. And I think we're either going to go with the carbon street wing or just the basic street wing. Now, if you're going to make the car black, I would recommend going with the carbon one because in my opinion, that looks pretty nice. If you're going to make it a different color, I would recommend going with the street wing. Obviously, it's up to you in the end, but I think we're going to throw the street wing on instead of a regular spoiler for this build. If you decide to go with the twin black racing stripes, I honestly think a black steel paint job with a black pearlescent looks pretty damn nice. And obviously throwing an ice white on there too looks really clean. And now that I'm looking at it, the black Inverto stripes honestly look really, really nice as well, especially with a nice ultra blue paint job. But in the end game, I honestly think we're going to go with a custom ultra blue paint job. If you guys want to get this color, there's going to be a link down below in the description so you can add it to your own cruise and get this color in GTA 5 Online. It's just a little bit more vibrant than the ultra blue we have, along with a slate blue pearlescent, which in game would be an ultra blue or something else. But honestly, just a nice, vibrant blue pearlescent. And I think this car looks pretty clean. I have one just like it in GTA 5. There's only one thing I might do different. And that one thing would be throwing some tire lettering on there, because I do like matching it up with the car, and I think the white Atomic or Fuguru tire lettering would look phenomenal on this car with the white racing stripes. Let me know what you guys think of this build down below in the comments. Another thing you could do with this car is just take the roof off. Like I said, it looks pretty amazing if you take the roof off or just leave it on. But if you throw a secondary color roof on or a carbon roof, with this build specifically, it honestly just doesn't go well with it. But I would highly recommend going with a remove roof option or just keeping the roof stock the way it is. Well guys, I think this build looks pretty damn amazing. When this car first came out, I bought 4 of them and I customized them all differently. There is a ton of cool customizations you could do to it along with the liveries. You could make a really, really nice car. But I have to say, my favorite thing about this thing is the fact that it looks exactly like a Corvette in real life. Like, it's uncanny how similar these things look. Anyways, that's pretty much going to wrap the video up for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to smash a thumbs up on it, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.